Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing really well in this moment and that you are taking better care of your health than I did. My son was sick last week and I was trying to avoid being too near him. You know, I'd still cook for him and bring it to him, but not really, I wasn't really invading his airspace, as it were. And after he got better, we went to the grocery store, and I mean, every other person was coughing and hacking and sneezing and blowing their nose. It was ridiculous. Kids everywhere just not covering their mouths. If you do get sick and have to go in public, please cover your mouth. There's a public service announcement because people that have problems with the immune system, like I do, I've had Epstein-Barr for 20-something years, and when I get sick, I get really sick. As you can tell by my voice, it sounds completely crazy. Anyway, starting this at 4:25 a.m., I waited 3 hours for my phone to charge today. Completely ridiculous. It's like I've got to completely keep it plugged in now. And apparently, do you guys know anything about lithium batteries? They're like squishy and gray and bendable. They're like Gumby, wrapped in space-age tin foil or like duct tape. Kind of looks like a bomb. I opened up my phone the other day and it looked like there was a bomb inside of it. I know it's the battery. It says lithium battery right on it, but it's unlike any battery I've ever seen in my life. It'll take like 2.5 hours to charge up to a whopping 33%, and then 10 extra minutes to go to 68. And before it was like really steady. Now it's like completely nuts. So I guess this is like a 1-year phone. Yeah, I've had it for about a year, I guess. Anyway, so I don't know. I mean, try to take better care of your health. And if you are sick, don't go in public. And if you do, don't cough without covering your mouth. I'm like blown away. I thought, after a few days, my son was better and I didn't get sick. And I'm like, you know what? I did it this time. I beat it. This is so good. I'm so excited. Like, I didn't get sick. Everything's good. And oh, wow. Even when I went to the grocery store, I was so precautious. I brought my hand sanitizer and I wiped my hands down and I wiped it on the cart shopping handle all the way across. And then I put more on my hand. I figured, hey, I'm going to kill 99.9% of the germs and make a better cart for the next person, right? Doing my good deed. And it didn't matter. Whatever this is, it's freaking airborne. It's the one thing. If you guys ever come to the Andes Mountains, this happens and you get sick and it's just like... and it's hard to breathe here in this altitude anyway. And then on top of that, to get sick, it's just ridiculous. But I'll be okay. I mean, I've been living here for 2 years and I've gone through illnesses here a lot. Unfortunately, but oh my god, totally ridiculous. I wanted to tell you guys though, something's important that I failed to mention, I think, before, about vitamin C. We all think, oh hey, I'll just take vitamin C, look, here's vitamin C mixed with zinc, that might be good for my immune system. And it is, but there's something you need to know about citric acid, vitamin C, is that if it's not the full spectrum vitamin C, it doesn't really protect your health. It doesn't actually protect your immune system. It actually can make it a little bit imbalanced and wonky. So you have to take a full spectrum vitamin C, or just try to get your vitamin C from high quality organic produce, which is like ridiculous. It's almost beyond ridiculous because, I don't know how much is in the produce these days. So I try to get with bioflavonoids, which is, if you eat oranges or grapefruit, it's the white part that's in between the outer rind and the actual fruit itself. I always eat that. I always scrape it with my teeth if it's inside an orange. Grapefruit, I eat about half of it because it's really bitter. It's not very pleasant to eat, but it has all the things that you need for your immune system. And I haven't eaten fruit in a very long time like that. I eat papayas and bananas, but it's I've been trying to stay away from the fruit because of the fruit sugars, because of the keto diet I've been on. And I don't think I've been eating enough vegetables, although I eat vegetables every day. So anyway, maybe it's my fault with my diet, or maybe it could be still part of the whole crying syndrome. If you get sick and it's a head cold or a chest cold, a lot of times that still can be unresolved emotional issues like grief and loss, and sadnesses, that you haven't released yet. I'm still working on mine, but I am resolving something with a friend of mine, and we've been talking for days now, and I feel oh my God, that was my more recent thing that came up that just brought up all this other crap from all my relationships past, the ghosts of boyfriends past, I suppose. It was bringing up a lot of abandonment issues from basically the day I was born. So when you're adopted, it's built right in there, those abandonment issues. And I think that's the first grief and loss I experienced was the day I was born. So just everything on top of that is compounded. And even if your first loss isn't until you're 20, it's still compounded, and it keeps getting worse until you are actively able to resolve it, But I slept and slept and slept and slept today. I slept a good long time. I don't know how I did it, but I was actually able to be very comfortable in my bed, and I just slept and still woke up in pain. This bed is a nightmare to sleep on, but we have a third bedroom, and there's 2 beds in there. They're really small, but they're very comfortable. And I was thinking about dragging one of those mattresses and putting it on top of my horrible bed and only putting sheets on that mattress. It would look so strange, but I mean, who cares? No one's ever even in here except for my own kid and myself. We don't have people over. I don't know. I think it's a paranoid thing, but when I was with my last boyfriend, we were only together for a few months over in Peru, and he was 6 months. We were officially boyfriend and girlfriend, and then after we broke up, it was kind of a soft breakup, I didn't say it was easy, but it was a soft breakup. A soft breakup is when you still kind of sleep together and you still kind of are together because you don't really know what else to do with your time because you're used to being together every day. And so you see each other a little bit less, but you still see each other. And we still had our lease to deal with and getting our deposit back. And so even though he helped me get into that apartment, he didn't officially live with me. He lived next door. But then, but he was the go-between because he spoke the language better than me, obviously. It was one of those things. It was I don't know. Even though I've had boyfriends, I consider myself, I've been single for let's see, 11 years. When my husband and I broke up 11 years ago. And I feel technically I've been single this whole time, 11 years. But I've had, people I've dated, people I started to have feelings for, who then broke my heart right after I expressed myself. And then I've had people that it just didn't work out for whatever weird reason. And then a few people just moving away without saying goodbye. But my friend who did that more recently, he finally was like, okay, a whole bunch of crap went down and I couldn't really tell you about it. And I still didn't know about it, but he's just like, I had to leave town and clear my head. And anyway, so he did that. And now we're talking every day. And I'm so like, oh, thank God. Thank God for that. Because he's one of the very few people in this country that I completely relate to. He completely relates to me. And we're like so much alike. If nothing else, we're going to end up being like the best of friends, which is awesome. And that's like at minimum. We've had conversations about it. And for the first time in my life, I've met somebody who says, hey, you know what? Let's be honest about our feelings and let's be honest with each other about everything we're feeling and thinking. And let's build trust and honesty. I'm like, oh my God, I think that might be one of the first conversations like this I've ever had in my adult life with another adult. I've had probably 20 or 30 men approach me online from random websites, like from Instagram, which is like not a dating site, dude. Facebook, not a dating site. And the more recent one was Twitter, definitely not a dating site. And all these men are like, I believe in trust and honesty and treating my partner well. And it's like, so this is your first contact with me? Did I say I was single and looking for a man? And please contact me immediately, because I don't think I tweeted that. It's like, I don't know. Have any of you had that weird forced relationship out of nowhere from a complete and perfect stranger? Like they're perfect as strangers, and then when they try to get to know you, you're like, whoa, dude, I don't even know you. Well, it's happened to me a lot, and it's like weird. And I don't know if these people are scammers, if they're narcissists coming out of the woodwork, because I've decided to absolutely look for narcissism in people, especially if it's going to be a potential business partner or a mate, like a mate. That sounds weird. I'm not going to mate with anybody. If that includes having babies, I'm not doing that anymore. I already been there, done that. Love my 2 kids. Don't need more. We could have a cat. We could have a dog. That's cool. But, we could have grandkids. I'm cool with that. I love babies. I just don't want to have one come out of my body again. Ooh. But anyway, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, or I don't think I'm the only one. I don't think I'm unique. Like, some people have like contacted me and acted like they're my friend, and then act if they want to be my boyfriend, and then act if like, oh, well, I really just need a partner in business only. And then, then it boils down to, can you just send me money, right? And I've had like 2 or 3 of those, but I mean an extraordinary number, like 20, 30 different people. I just want to be your friend, it's okay. I don't want anything else either. It's cool. I just want to be your friend. And then it takes about 7 to 10 days before the lie that they told is revealed. And they go, well, I'll be a really good husband for you. You're single and I'm single and blah, blah, blah. It's like, the whole, well, look, we're the same species. You have eyes. I have eyes. I think we should get married. It's like, dude, does not even work like that. But it's like 4 conversations in. It's like, dude, this is not, sorry, it's not what I want at all. But I want a relationship with somebody who we start off as friends. We go slow and everything's cool, So, but it's been like hurtful to me. I've noticed that all the times that these guys were like a million times wrong for me, or maybe wrong for like every other woman on the planet. Who says they want a relationship and were willing to move to my country to live here, and can I help them set up a business when, so we could work, like, who says that after 4 conversations, like, right? So, so, like, they're not only wrong for me, they're pretty much wrong for every thinking woman on the planet, which is like ridiculous. Oh my God, I'm so sick, you guys. I'm still so sick. I've been hot and then cold and then hot and then cold. Now I'm like burning up and sweating, whereas 10 minutes ago I was shivering. And I thought I was over the sneezes, and I had the sneezes all over again today. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And, you know, like right now I feel like I don't have a fever, but 10 minutes ago I did. It's like the weirdest illness. I just saw an angel. Hi. I saw an angel in my room just now. Just a little, like the wingtip of an angel, I think. Might have been a fairy. Actually wasn't. Usually what I notice is angels are steady and they stay in one place. Are you an angel? Yeah. My guardian angel? Thank you. Can you heal me, please? Thank you. All right. My angel said she can heal me. Usually fairies are the streaks of light that go quickly near your eye, and you think you saw something, but then you realize you didn't, and then you think you're going crazy for a second, and then you think, oh, maybe it was a fairy. They usually go fast. They're flying really fast, and they could be any color. And angels tend to have like a little bit of a white energy, like a white light. It might be like a shining bright white feather for like a split second, and then you're like, whoa. All right, see, now I took off my sweater and I'm already starting to get cold. I'm not happy about this. But something I noticed, though, I want to tell you guys about this because in this weird dating crap, you know, even if you're like married, these guys will come out of the woodworks to try to like talk to you and chat you up. It's really insane. Oh no, I just want to be friends. I'm just bored and I'm lonely. I just want to talk to you. We're friends. You know, you make me happy. You're my best friend. It's like, wow, this is our third conversation. How could I be your best friend? I mean, I feel kind of bad for you. I pray for these guys though, because they're obviously, they need something and they're lonely and they're hurting. I don't need to have a relationship with them to like ever for any reason, but you know, I still pray for everybody because, you know, everyone's hurting. You know, people do weird things because they're upset, you know, in one way or another. But I've noticed that every time I've had to tell somebody, I don't want that. I don't want a relationship. I don't want anything. I don't want this. I don't want that. And it's a complete and total bullshit lie. Completely. It's not even true because I do want a good person. I want a good man. I want someone with integrity and somebody who's humble and somebody who's emotionally sensitive and emotionally intelligent. And, you know, I do want someone that can be my lover, my friend, my partner in life, and even a business partner, you know, everything, 100%. You know, moving through life together in a way in which we support each other 100%. Someone who, if he needs a space, and he goes away for a few days, I could totally trust him. You know, and if I feel like I need my space, that he would give it to me and totally trust me. You know, and so I've noticed that when I tell these guys, hey, I'm not really, I don't want that. I'm not interested. I don't want that. I'm not interested. Every time I say that, my energy and my heart goes down and I feel like I die a little inside because I'm telling a complete stranger is trying to force something on me. I'm telling them a lie about myself, and I don't like lying. And but I'm not lying in the fact that I don't want them, right? So it's meaner, but more truthful. And I've said to men, look, you're not my type. I'm not attracted to you. You know, you might be the sweetest guy in the world, but we have zero in common. You know, I like the guys that, you know, like I've told them 3 times what I do, that I have a podcast, and then after like the 4th conversation, they're still like, what do you do again? After like 2-3 months sometimes, what is it that you do again? So the 3 times I've sent you the link to my podcast, you haven't listened to it yet? Oh no, I'm not really into that. Well, see, that's why you're not my guy though, see? I mean, I'm laying it all out on the line in my show. I'm telling everybody who I am 100%. You know, and if someone can't be bothered to listen to my podcast, for example, you know, it'd be like if you're an artist and the guy refuses to look at your walls. I'm not really into art, and they're like shielding their eyes. I mean, that's how I feel. Like, yeah. I'm a nudist, and they refuse to take off their clothes. I mean, like kind of ridiculous, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen the TV show, what's on Netflix, the series called Please Like Me. I love the show. There's something really seriously wrong with the main character. I don't know what kind of personality disorder or mental issue he's got, but he has a really hard time understanding what the hell's happening or people's emotions. He might be just slightly on the spectrum, but they never discuss it, right? But he's surrounded by people with mental health issues. And he's trying to be loving and concerning and caring, but he doesn't really care a whole lot. It's like he cares, but only to a certain extent, right? And one of the guys that he was dating kind of, like, they'd kiss, they'd cuddle, they would kind of get naked-ish together and like shirts off, to cuddle. And then when he tried to be with this guy, the guy says, yeah, I like the idea of kissing you, but I don't really want to have sex with you, like, ever. I don't know. It was like freaked me out. Like, what? Like, I don't know. It just, I like the idea and the thought of that, but not really like with you. And but so I've actually been really bold lately when I've told like 7 men in this past 6 months that said they only want a friend. They just need someone to talk to. They just need someone that's reliable to converse with once in a great while, like, 2 or 3 times a week, And one guy was like so angry when I'm like, he's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, oh, I got a date, I think it was like a year ago or something. It was like actually over a year ago. And one guy well, I can't trust you. You can't be my girlfriend if I can't trust you. I'm like, not your girlfriend. Never met you in real life. We would have to talk every single day and be on the same page. And I haven't even touched the book, right? I haven't even touched the book. How could we even be in the same chapter, let alone the same page? But a lot of it is just guys saying they've got little kids and they want you to be their mom. Mom. I'm like, no. You want me to smoke pot around your kid and drop acid? Because that's the kind of thing I do. I don't, I don't want to. I'll be the crazy hippie grandma, not a problem. Not gonna drop acid for my grandkids, When they're 16, that might be an experience, but I don't know. But I started actually being true to myself in every possible way, like instead of lying to strangers about what I do want, what I don't want, I started to be really honest. And this is just an example, and this could be with every single thing in your life, like when someone says, at the grocery store, oh, how you doing? And you could say, and you always say, oh, I'm fine. And when the fact of the matter is you're heartbroken and you're going home to eat this ice cream you just bought and drink this whiskey by yourself while you cry into your pillow and watch Notting Hill or whatever, or if you're really sick or you're worried about your mom, I feel like you shouldn't like burden other people with your problems, but at the same time, I don't think you should be 100% lying about it either. Like if you're not okay, you say, well, you know what? More or less, I'm alive, and that's better than all the people that aren't. So, you could say something that's not telling your whole life story, but you could be honest, like, hey, guess what? My my best friend just died, so I'm not doing the best, but I'll get through it. Thank you for asking. If it's someone that like your friend or like someone at work and you see them every day, and if they ask you how you doing, don't lie, because it kind of negates yourself and it kind of depresses and suppresses your own emotions and your own it lowers you. You know what I mean? I think it can lower your immune system. I think it lowers your not your intelligence, but it kind of does. It lowers your emotional intelligence. You know what I mean? So, now when someone says, hey, I'd like to go out with you, can I take you out to breakfast? You know, I had a guy write me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was up because I was waiting for my show to load. I was finished my show about a week or two ago. And I just got on this, you know, just a social. It's not really dating. You can date from there, but it's mostly like a social thing. And, you know, and I've got friends on there that I've known for like, God, 10 years, you know. I have friends from Guatemala who are like married and have kids and they've got a business. And I've got a few people like that I've talked to. That I've met in person. I've gone out to eat with in a group of friends, you know, not romantic, but just I've met a lot of people from there, you know. And this guy's like, you know, asking me out, can I take you out to breakfast in 4 hours? And I'm like, no, you know, you need to respect me. And I literally was very honest with them. I said, you know, women enjoy being treated with respect. And the fact that you asked me out for 4 hours from now, you know, after I told you I've been up all night and I'm getting ready to go to bed, why would I get up in 2 hours to go out to, you know? And I knew he was just trying to look for a booty call. Like, it was so obvious. And I'm like, you know, plus I don't know you. Plus, you know, I like to get to know people over time, over 2 or 3 months. Because usually what I figure is if you know someone over like the course of 3 months, you pretty much know what they're all about. But I tell people 6 months. You know, once we talk on here for about 6 months, and I'll know what you're all about, and I'll understand you more, and I'll know more about you. I'll feel more comfortable, and then we can meet. You know, if you're really interested in a true friendship, 6 months shouldn't be too long to wait, right? Because I'm not about to like be, hi, thank you for the first conversation. Can I get your number and meet you like in an hour? Because that's how human traffickers work, right? I'm not looking to get kidnapped or raped or murdered or, you know, molested or robbed or none of those things, right? And I feel like if someone is real and true and genuine, then they would give you 6 months to get to know each other, you know? And it feels to me like, you know, like I'm not about to meet somebody like right, like the next day or something, you know what I mean? And it's very rare. A couple times I have done it, though. A couple times I have met people after 1 or 2 weeks of talking, and because we clicked and it was cool. But, you know, in a normal way where they're not like, hey, can I get your Facebook? And next thing you know, you're erasing a bunch of dick pics and reporting them, you know. When you didn't ask for that, sorry, that's like rape, dude. It's like virtual rape. It's insane. But I've noticed that when I tell people the truth is, you know, like before, like a couple months ago, I was saying, well, the truth is, I would love to find a true love. I would love to find someone who meets all the requirements. I've written a list of what I want in a man, and I am going to be looking for that as soon as I have enough money and financial things more stable in my life. My child turns 18 in a year, and I'll be more free to make a choice about having a relationship in a year. So right now I'm not in that place to be in a straight up solid relationship. You know what I mean? If you're willing to be only my friend on here first, and then in 6 months, we'll see where I'm at, maybe in a year, whatever. You know, if I feel like I could trust you, then you're not going to make a pass at me or try to force a relationship or a kiss on me in person, then hey, you know. And most of the guys get angry and will block me. So, hey, now I know their true nature. They were going to try to do something, you know. So now I say, you know, look, I went on a date with somebody who I really care about, and we are taking it slow, and he moved out of town, but we're back in touch now, and we're going to maybe, you know, consider having something, and I don't want to lose a chance with somebody who's actually my religion, you know. And, you know, since you just told me you're a Catholic, and it's not going to work out for me, you know, so much. You know, like it's, you know, you told me you're not interested in paranormal, supernatural, you know. I asked you if you believe in ghosts. You said no, you know what I mean? So I've been more truthful and more honest with people, basically, about things. And, you know, I have an ex-boyfriend. He was a horrible person. He was a narcissist, but he was always joking around, and I liked that about him. And one time, someone asked him, how are you doing today? And he goes, mediocre, and started laughing. And then he just like would joke. He's like, you expect someone to say okay. And he said, I really am doing mediocre today, And it'd be like, a day that he didn't, he was too hot or he didn't have enough money to fill his gas tank or whatever thing was bumming him out, he was a musician, so if his gig was canceled, he'd be mediocre, right? And he's like super honest about it. And he's like, I hate lying to people. When I lie to people about being good, I just feel like I'm denying myself, like I'm denying how I really feel, right? And I don't know that he was also self-aware. He really wasn't as self-aware as he could have been. He didn't know he's a narcissist, for example. And he didn't believe in himself, and my purpose in his life was to help him believe in himself more. And now he's teaching math, like at UCLA or something. And his purpose in my life was to, I was homeless because of the earthquake in 94, it was 94 in Northridge. And I was homeless because of that, and living in my car. And so he gave me a place to live for a while, and I got my own place for a while. Then I moved back in with him after we started dating heavily. But he also taught me about jazz. Like, I knew jazz existed, but I'd only ever heard Chick Corea, and I had a horrible nightmare when I fell asleep to a Chick Corea album, so I kind of swore off jazz like for forever. And I went to a jazz festival once in Santa Barbara. I was there for one song, and I met someone, and it was weird because I don't even know why I didn't go to the rest of the jazz festival, but I think I talked to him through the whole song. I got his phone number, and he got mine. And I was with my girlfriend. And I'm like, let's just go. This music blows. It was like literally one song. So anyway, his purpose for my life was to introduce me to world beat music and jazz music and open up my world musically. And I'm so grateful for that, actually. But I like that he would say that. I'm just mediocre. So I feel like if you guys were more honest, and if I was more honest, if we were all a little bit more honest about everything, like, oh, well, I see where you're going with that question, and I see how you could find me attractive or beautiful or whatever word you describe me. That's really sweet of you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. But just to be honest, I'm not in a place to date right now. And I don't really find you someone that I have a spiritual connection with, and I'm not really attracted to in that way. Be honest with people. Even if it's going to hurt them now, it's better than to string them along and then deny who you are inside, right? But with everything, maybe not, like if you need a mental health day, you might not want to tell your boss that. I mean, the faking, the coughing, and the, sorry, I can't really come, you know what I mean? You could do that. Like, I don't even have to do this. I'm actually sick, but I am showing up to work. A couple hours late, but, hey, it is what it is. But I just think if you're, like, super honest with everybody, I think it's a lot better, like, being honest about how you feel. Truthful about how you feel. I mean, this person that I had a date with weeks ago, we're now talking for many days, and we've been talking about that honesty thing. And can you just be absolutely honest about how you feel about everything, and be honest about what you're thinking about me and about the thing, because I was kind of joking with him. I'm like, you didn't have to leave town. You could have told me I was unlovable and ugly, and then you didn't have to move out of your apartment. And he's like, he's like, oh my God. He's like, you're so intelligent and so beautiful. Like, I would never, ever, ever believe that about you. Like, you are, like a really cool person. And, it had nothing to do with you. And it was just like really bad timing with other crap he had going on in his life. And I'm like, okay, cool. I was having a complex because I have abandonment issues. So, and then I was very honest about it. Like, look, I do have abandonment issues. I was given up at birth. I mean, that scars you for freaking life, It's like, I know, there's times I think, I'm not really pro-abortion, but I kind of feel like if my mom had had an abortion, I would have just been born to a different mom. It wouldn't have hurt me as much as it hurt me being given away to strangers. But that's just my opinion. I mean, other people that were adopted feel great about it. But I have done I have like literally therapized people who have come into my office when I had an office in Grass Valley, and I had someone come in and say, my mom was obviously a whore and one of her Johns got her pregnant. And I'm like, what? How do you know that? Who told you that? He's like, oh, I just feel it, because why else would you give a baby away? And I'm like, well, maybe she was only 19 and didn't have any way to support herself. Maybe she was homeless. And I gave him 10 scenarios, 10 different possibilities that didn't have to do with, illicit sex for money. And he's like, oh my God, maybe you're right. Well, yeah, maybe I am. Like maybe she, got drunk one night, had a one-night stand, couldn't find the father, and didn't want to raise you with, as a single parent, because that's not fair to you. Not when there's couples out there that would love you. How was your relationship with your parents? It's like, I love them very much, but it hurt me and I found out I was adopted. And they told him as an adult. So if you're in that situation, anyone in that situation who's going to adopt a baby, they have to be honest with that baby from day one. Not from day one, but I mean, when they're about 2 or 3 and they can understand, and what my parents told me was that your mom loved you so much that she wanted the best for you and she couldn't provide because she just didn't have the money. Which I hate that. I hate that so much, the whole money excuse, because it's so 3D. It's so last century. But it made me feel good. And they were like, but you were chosen and you're special. And that's why we chose you. And I thought that was really sweet. That's at least what both my mom and dad told me that. All hell broke loose when I was 5 years old and they divorced, and the shit of my life really did hit the fan then, and it's been a crazy roller coaster. The rest of it so far, only 46 years of roller coaster and 5 years of smooth sailing, but I don't know. I mean, it's okay, but there's a lot of crap that we all have to work through. It's not one of us is unscathed after having lived in the third dimensional world. And one way in which you can become unentangled from the crap that's happened to you is just to be honest about something. If someone is trying to force themselves into your life or assume themselves into your world, you don't have to invite people to your house. I don't recommend you inviting people to your house. You don't have to be pressured into dating or going out to a birthday party if you don't like the person whose birthday it is, or you don't feel comfortable outside or in the crowd or where they're going. You don't have to say yes, I give you permission to say no sometimes and not feel guilty. Guilt-free no. You don't have to make an excuse unless it's a work thing, because, some workplaces do have mental health days, and that's okay. I've worked at a couple places. They say, if you need a mental health day, call us and let us know it's a mental health day. All right, cool. Not a problem. I worked in the straight up hood in LA, and I was a child care counselor for gay and lesbian kids and bisexual and transgender kids, actually, for the whole LGBTQIA community, but kids that were kicked out of their parents' house because they came out to them, or their parents were on drugs was the other those are the two most common scenarios. And I don't know what I was going to say about that. Man, my nose is like starting to run again. I'm like, dude, no, it's not good. But they said mental health day. If you need a mental health day, just let us know. And I did. Sometimes I call and go, you know what? I need a mental health day. If you don't find anyone, I'll come in. But one of my kids had, he had HIV, and I had to give him medicine every day. And I'd give him his medicine, and I would take him to bed. He was 12 years old, little Leroy. He was one of the sweetest kids ever. I tuck him into bed, and then I go outside and cry for an hour every single time. It broke my heart. And he was born with HIV. And because his mom was a heroin user, and she used a dirty needle that was infected and didn't know she was pregnant at the time either. And his dad was in jail for having beaten up his mom. So like one of the worst situations a little kid could be born into. And God bless him and his little spirit that chose that. You know, I mean, that brought so much more love and compassion to my heart that he chose something like that. It broke my heart every day. Like, I just prayed and prayed and prayed for this little kid. And I have no idea what happened to him, because I could only handle working there for a year. And I just like, hey, I gave a year to the community. I got to get out of here. It was an extremely dangerous neighborhood. And it was just too much to handle. I was too sensitive to handle it. I couldn't handle it after a while. I went back to being a secretary for like $5 more an hour, and in a much safer neighborhood, and I got to wear better clothes, and you know, that's what I chose for a hot minute, you know. Oh man. All right. So, anyway, that's my biggest message for you guys tonight. For the introduction here is just be honest and be yourself. I mean, don't be like, I'm not attracted to you because, dude, you're like fat, old, and ugly. You know what I mean? Like, don't be super honest. But, you know, let people down gently and just, it's not you, it's me. Of course, that always means it's you. But anyway, no, but for real, like, I started to say, look, romance would be wonderful. I need to have like a spiritual connection with somebody. I have to have a lot of things in common with someone. And one thing I do to discourage people that literally have nothing in common with me and they only want one thing, but they're trying to pussyfoot around that. Funny word right there. Don't want Andra, no. I'll say, well, you know, this is the way I do it. Is usually what happens is I'll get to know you over a few weeks, and you know, after I decide I'm interested in you, I'll give you my number. We'll get to know each other over a few weeks, and then we can have a couple dates. And if I like you and we have a lot in common, then we can get, once we're getting into an exclusive relationship, still another 6 months later, then we can finally have sex for the first time if we know we're going to head towards marriage. And that's my only other thing. And then people will go, oh, well, I was just kind of looking for something more casual than that, you know? I mean, that's how I call people out, like, right away. Like, this is kind of how I do it. Like, I like to play things slow, and, you know, I have to know you for a year before marrying you, and I really want to wait till marriage. If you say you want, even if you don't, and you say you want to wait till marriage, it's like, most guys will be like, yeah, well, I was looking for something a little quicker than that. Like, I want to get the booty tonight, right? That's like the reality of most people contacting you for any reason on any website, whether you're a man or a woman, whether the person contacting you is a man or a woman. But usually when people come on hot and heavy, that's all they really want. It's in my experience anyway. So it's like, I feel like any warm body would do for most of the people that have contacted me. Like, some of the people like, oh, I need to know what you look like. You know, it's like, what? It just seems like a scam or like a narcissist, or I don't know. But when you are a bright light in the world, and the brighter your light shines, you'll notice that a lot more moths will be attracted to you. So anyway, but at this point, I've decided just to be honest with everybody. You know, how are you doing? Well, you know what? I had a fever, but right now I'm a little bit better. Thank you for asking. You know, I'd like to really take you out. You know, maybe it'd be nice to get a little cafecito. People say I like a little coffee. And I'm always like, well, I started seeing somebody, and actually I want to see where it goes with him. And I don't want to disrespect him as a man. And so I'm not going to go out with you. And they go, well, just as friends? I'm like, no, but that could be misconstrued. And so, no, I don't feel comfortable with that right now. And maybe in 6 months or a year, if we're still talking regularly and I notice that you really truly want to be friends with me, then yeah. And most of the people that say only as friends, they usually don't mean it. Most people don't know how to be friends. And I think in this digital social media age, it's just not, people don't know how to be friends, you know. A lot of people don't. Some people do, you know, actually. A lot of you guys who have contacted me are actually becoming my friends. I'm really happy about that. I feel like hashtag soul tribe, hashtag soul family. I mean, that is what we are becoming, and we already were, and we're just finding each other again. Thank God. Anyway, I'm going to get to the news for the day of... Actually, you know what? I wanted to ask you guys to pray for the koala bears in Australia. I don't know if you heard. There was a massive fire in the bush. Another double top trap. Sorry, this is like serious, but I can't be serious about this. Okay, I know I'm like a 14-year-old boy. Anyway, anyways, there was a massive fire in Australia, and like 1,000 koala bears died. And I guess this sounds weird, but they said that there's only like 80,000 koalas left, and that's not enough to keep the next generation going. So they are, it's a type of extinction, even though there's still some around. It's kind of a functional extinction. Sounds like a dysfunctional extinction to me. So that's like one of those weird words. It's kind of the opposite of what it means, but they're basically functionally extinct now. Koala bears, little baby koala bears, and I don't know, just pray for them. Maybe they could come back, and maybe the scientists are wrong. I would like to think that the scientists are wrong and that God has a better plan for the koala bears and they're coming back. I would like to know that that's very, very true. But with the loss of 1,000, I guess that put them at the tipping point of having not being able to come back. And we lost the black rhinoceroses like just in 2009, was it? Or 2011 maybe? Which is weird because I kind of remember that the last black rhinoceros didn't it die like a year ago? So, but I read that it was like 8 years ago now, but maybe that's when they became functionally extinct, and then that was it. So, I don't know. I mean, a lot of animals are going extinct. I think polar bears have like moved to Russia, just like the North Pole. They move with the North Pole, I guess. It's like sunflowers following the sun. There's been a lot of people just feeding them like they're dogs. It's pretty strange. I guess polar bears are not attacking people. They're just like, yeah, that's cool, thanks. I don't know. I mean, I should look more into it. Maybe people are being attacked and eaten, but I don't think so. I saw a video the other day on YouTube where this person was like washing dishes and a polar bear came up, stuck his head in the window, and someone filmed it, and they were like, hey, look, I got some food. Here's a steak. You want that? Like they're giving this polar bear food. Like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, hopefully nothing bad will come of it. Maybe he's grateful, I mean, they're really smart animals, but they could be very dangerous. So, I thought that was weird. But, anyway, let's get into this before I run out of on this app, I can only go for like 58 minutes or something, and then just shuts down. All right, so on disclosurenews.it at 9:30 in the morning, they write, today's chart shows once again a stato. See, now I'll know for sure if they listen to the show, if they change this tomorrow. So if you guys are really out there listening to the show, change the word stato to state with an E at the end instead of an O. And then I'll know for a fact you guys are listening to Metaphysical Soul Speak, and I'll announce it on the air tomorrow. Anyway, so it says state of calm. The last significant peak at power 20 was at 19 UTC on November 30th, which is weird because this is like days ago. So, okay, but then it says, so it took 36 hours before the amplitude values returned above power 10, and today, however, it's back. The peak was at power 37 at 8:30 UTC time. And then the evening report at 1700 hours, and by the way, they have like December 1st, I should say the 2nd, but whatever. And so the evening report says, today the activity was not long lasting, but very intense. In addition to the previous peak, which marked the beginning of the active period at 8:30, after a while, at 9 a.m., there was a maximum power 55. This was then followed shortly by further movement in the 30s, which after 10 a.m. calm returned. and another movement around 1700 hours of the graph. So that's it, I guess, 55 in Italy. So yeah, that's it. All right, I'm gonna put the phone down for a second. I gotta blow my nose again. This is so ridiculous. All right, so in California, they start off at 48 Hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale at midnight. And by 5 a.m., they were at 49, so not a massive change. In Hofuf, Saudi Arabia, they were still at 0 all the way across, and I don't know. It just looks like it's never going to change, but it will eventually. It's very weird, though, right? And in Lithuania, they start off at 92 Hertz frequency at midnight. And by 5 a.m., they were down to 91. In Alberta, Canada, they were up to 81 at midnight and went down to 71 by 5 a.m. And in Northland, New Zealand, they were at 14. Not very much, right? 14 at midnight, and they went down to 0 by 5 a.m. And in now this is a good one. I want to mention this now. 12 hours before, so like at noon yesterday, in Hululu, South Africa, they were at 273. And right before that, at 10 o'clock, they were also at 273, and they dipped down to like 269 and went back up to 273. And then at midnight, they were at 229 Hertz frequency. And then 5 hours later, 5 a.m., they went down to 184. So the one that's the biggest change, and obviously the biggest, the triple digits, that's Hululu, South Africa. And they've been, pretty consistently in the triple digits for a very long time. They were down on the 29th of November at 1,500 hours. They went down to 110. And that's the lowest they've been in many, many days. So very weird that. All right. Now we are on in ACIM, A Course in Miracles, and the Foundation for Inner Peace. We are on lesson 174, which is still a review. And the main theme throughout is God is but love, and therefore so am I. And taken from the first thought of the day, besides that one, which is 3 times we're going to say that, taken from lesson 157. Into his presence would I enter now. Into his presence would I enter now. God is but love, and therefore so am I. And the second thought of the day, taken from lesson 158, and this is the final review for today, for this lesson, is today I learn to give as I receive. Today I learn to give as I receive. God is but love, and therefore so am I. All right. So, yeah, another thing, you know what? Even if you can't give someone what they want, going back to the first thing I was talking about, you can't give them the relationship or the type of friendship they're looking for, or the booty call or whatever. Be honest with them. Be honest about how you're feeling. And, hey, I'm not really comfortable with that right now, but thank you for asking. That's the easy one, right? Tell them how you're feeling. But also, you can always pray for people. Because there's a reason why people are looking for, I only want sex, or I'm cheating my wife or whatever. It's like whatever weird thing, or cheating my husband, it could be, men or women. It doesn't matter gender. I'm just using, my experience, but, it doesn't matter the gender so much of a person. But when people ask something of you that you aren't able or even willing to give to them, because it's just weird, they're lonely too, and they're sad too, but you have absolutely zero obligation to them. So you could just ask for them to be healed. Send them some love energy. Don't tell them you are, because that's weird, and they might misconstrue it or try to manipulate you. So just, because it seems like people that ask for a relationship after like 4 conversations are already like manipulative. So it's like, nah, I don't think, but, go slow, don't make mistakes, it's how I feel, about everything. And so, you could just send them love and ask God to protect them and bring them to the self-awareness of what they're doing, and maybe they could get better on their own. But a narcissist will never change unless they want to, and they always think they're perfect. So, avoid people with that because, it's just hurtful. But send them love, just in general, like impersonally. God bless that weirdo that was trying to get, come over to my house. Like, I'm not gonna give my address to a stranger, dude. Like, whatever, you know what I mean? But, it's just, yeah. Anyway, that was just my final thought for the day. All right, we're going to get into The Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. All right, so this is The Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec, published in Paris in the year 1857. Second sight. This is where we left off last week. Question 447. Is there any connection between the phenomena of what is designated as second sight and those of dreaming and somnambulism? The Spirit's answer, they are all the same thing. What you call second sight is also a state in which the spirit is partially free, although the body is not asleep. Second sight is soul sight. Soul sight. Sorry, like Soul Train. Question 448. Is the faculty of second sight a permanent one? And the Spirit say, The faculty of second sight is permanent, but its exercise is not. In worlds less material than yours, spirits free themselves from matter more easily and enter into communication with one another simply by thought, without, however, excluding the use of articulate speech. In those worlds, second sight is, for the greater part of their inhabitants, a permanent faculty. Their normal state may be compared to that of lucid somnambulism among you, and it is for this reason that they manifest themselves to you more easily than those who are incarnated in bodies of a grosser nature. Question 449. Does second sight occur spontaneously or through an exertion of the will of those who possess that faculty? The spirits answer, generally it occurs spontaneously, but the will nevertheless often plays an important part in producing this phenomenon. Take, for example, the persons who are called fortune tellers, some of whom really have that power, and you will find that the action of their will helps them in the second sight and to what you call vision. Question 450. Is second sight susceptible of being developed by exercise? The spirits answer, yes. Effort always leads to progress, and the veil which covers things becomes more transparent. And follow-up question, is this faculty a result of physical organization? The spirits answer, organization has undoubtedly a great deal to do with it. There are organizations with which it is incompatible. All right, wow, that's good to know. Question 451. How is it that second sight appears to be hereditary in certain families? I know, right? Actually, the father of my children and I, we're all psychic. And my birth mother was psychic. I think my birth father might be psychic as well. And I know from my ex-husband's family, they're all psychic. So I think that is actually true. All right, anyway. So he says, again, the question is, how is it that second sight appears to be hereditary in certain families? And what they say is, this proceeds from similarity of organization, which is transmitted like other physical qualities, and also from the development of the faculty through a sort of education, which also is transmitted from one generation to another. So that's like so interesting. So hereditary witchcraft, right? After generations before us practiced it, it becomes a part of that, your physical organization, because you could do it, you know, but also just, yeah, like telepathy and all that. So this is cool, actually. God said this book was about 92% right, accurate. So far, so good today, right? All right. Question 452. Is it true that circumstances develop second sight? And the answer, illness, the approach of danger, and any great commotion may develop it. The body is sometimes in a state which allows of the spirit seeing what cannot be seen with the fleshly eye. And what Allan Kardec added a little note after that, he says, times of crisis and of calamity, powerful emotions, all the causes, in short, which excite the moral nature may develop second sight. It would seem as though Providence gave us, when in the presence of danger, the means of escaping it. All sex, meaning S-E-C-T-S, not sex, but sects, sounds the same. All sects and all parties subjected to persecution have offered numerous instances of this fact. Cool. Question 453. Are the persons who are gifted with second sight always conscious of their faculty? And the spirits answer, not always. It appears to them to be altogether natural, and many of them suppose that if everybody observed their own impressions, they would find themselves to be possessed of the same power. Question 454. May we attribute to a sort of second sight the perspicacity? No, that's not the word. Wait a minute. Perspicacity? That's a new word on me. Perspicacity. Let me try to ask this again, saying the word correctly. This word's not been in fashion for 162 years. Okay, question 454. May we attribute to a sort of second sight the perspicacity of those persons who, without being remarkably gifted in other ways, possess an unusually clear judgment in relation to the things of everyday life? And the answer from the spirits: such clearness of judgment is always due to a freer radiation of the soul, enabling the man to see more correctly than those whose perceptions are more densely veiled by matter. Follow-up question. Can this lucidity of judgment in some cases give the foreknowledge of future events? The spirits answer: yes, it may give presentiments, for there are many degrees in this faculty, and the same person may possess all those degrees as he may possess only some of them. Cool. All right. The next section is called Explanation of Somnambulism, Trance, and Second Sight. Question 455. The phenomena of natural somnambulism occur spontaneously and independently of any known external cause. But in persons endowed with a special organization, they may be produced artificially through the action of the mesmeric agent. The only difference between the state designated as mesmeric somnambulism and natural somnambulism is that the one is artificially produced while the other is spontaneous. All right, just to recap, when he says mesmeric somnambulism, that means if you are easily hypnotizable. You know, like I know I'm a somnambulist. I go into hypnosis like that, environmental hypnosis, and I've got to count myself out, and I can control it now because I'm a hypnotherapist and I've learned, the techniques and the tricks. But people have natural hypnosis, like they go into hypnosis several times a day, and with mesmeric somnambulism, that just means that they've been hypnotized and they're very easily hypnotized. Everyone, 98 or 99% of the people are able to be easily hypnotized. Some of them take a little bit more work, and only 1% of the population is auto-suggestible, like they only take their own suggestions, and they 100% will never take from other people. But if they want to be helped with hypnosis, there's a way to do it. I still know how. So I know I can hypnotize 100% of the people. It's just what we were taught. But anyway, that's what that is. Natural somnambulism is like when you easily go into hypnosis, just like you go to the grocery store or you go to like Target and all the colors are bright and pretty and the music is awesome and fun and kind of catch yourself singing and dancing to it, and you went in there for 4 things and you come out with $300 worth of stuff, then you're definitely in natural somnambulism. In ways artificially produced, but you're like so overwhelmed. Or like if you're driving down the highway and you forget your turnoff, or like you get in your car after work and you get home and you're like, holy crap, I don't remember the drive. I don't even know what the hell happened. How the hell did I get home? That's because you're in natural hypnosis, environmental hypnosis. So this is like 160 years ago. They called that natural somnambulism. Just hopefully that clears that up for you. Anyway, all right, so what these spirits say to that question is natural somnambulism is a notorious fact, the reality of which few now dispute, notwithstanding the marvelous character of the phenomena it presents. Why then should mesmeric somnambulism be regarded as more extraordinary or incredible? Simply because it's produced artificially like so many other things. It has been abused by charlatans, some persons will reply, but the fact only affords an additional reason for not leaving it in their hands. When science shall have taken possession of it, charlatanism will have much less credit with the masses. But meanwhile, as somnambulism, both natural and artificial, is a fact, and as a fact cannot be argued down, it is making its way despite the ill will of its adversaries, and obtaining a footing even in the temple of science, which it is entering by a multitude of side doors, much like hypnosis itself, instead of entering by the principal one. Its right to be there will, ere long, be fully recognized. For the spiritist, somnambulism is more than a physical phenomena. It is a light thrown on the subject of psychology. It is a state in which we can't study the soul because in it the soul shows itself, so to say, without covering. Now, one of the phenomena which characterize the soul is clear seeing independently of the ordinary visual organs. Those who contest this fact do so on the ground that the somnambulist does not see at all times and at the will of the experimentalist as with the eyes. Need we be astonished if the means employed being different, the results are not the same? Is it reasonable to demand identical effects in cases in which the instruments employed are not the same? The soul has its properties just as has the eye, and the former must be judged of by themselves and not by analogy with the latter. The cause of clairvoyance of the mesmeric and of the natural somnambulist is identically the same. It is an attribute of the soul, a faculty inherent in every part of the incorporeal being which is in us and has no other limits than those assigned to the soul itself. The somnambulist sees wherever his soul can transport itself, no matter what distance. In sight at distance, the somnambulist does not see from the point at which his body is and as through a telescope. The things he sees are present with him, as though he were at the place where they exist, because his soul is there in reality. And it is for this reason that his body is, as it were, annihilated, and seems to he deprived of sensation until the moment when the soul comes back and retakes possession of it. This partial separation of the soul and the body is an abnormal state which may last for a longer or shorter time, but not indefinitely. It is the cause of the fatigue felt by the body after a certain lapse of time, especially when the soul during that partial separation busies itself with some active pursuit. The fact that soul sight or spirit sight is not circumscribed and has no definite seat explains why somnambulists are unable to assign to it any special organ or focus. They see because they see, without knowing why or how, their sight as spirit sight having no special focus. If they refer their perception to their body, this focus seems to them to be in the organic centers in which the vital activity is greatest, especially in the brain, in the epigastric region. Okay, like I studied the human brain as well as human anatomy. I've never heard of the epigastric region of the brain, unless that part of my brain has forgotten this. I'm just saying, so that might be an old-fashioned word. Maybe it's something from France. It's why French food is so good. They have an epigastric. It sounds like something like epi is like near, gastric is like digestion, so something to do with the stomach. So why is that in the brain? Is it registering food? Okay, I don't know. All right, I'll reread that sentence, sorry. If they refer their perception to their body, this focus seems to them to be in the organic centers in which the vital activity is greatest, especially in the brain, in the epigastric region, or in whatever organ appears to them to be the point at which the bond between the spirit and the body is most tenacious. All right, I have notes. I think I might have notes about that in a minute. The scope of somnambulistic lucidity is not unlimited. A spirit, even when completely free, only possesses the faculties and knowledge appertaining to the degree of advancement at which he has arrived, a limitation which becomes still further narrowed when he is muted with matter and thus subjected to its influence. This is a reason why somnambulistic clairvoyance is neither universal nor infallible, and its infallibility is all the less to be counted on when it's turned aside from the aim which it's been assigned to it by nature and made a mere matter of curiosity and experimentation. In the state of comparative freedom in which the somnambulist finds himself, he enters more easily into communication with other spirits, incarnate or disincarnate, and this communication is established through a contact of the fluids which compose their perispirits and therefore serve, like the electric wire, for the transmission of thought. The somnambulist, therefore, has no need of articulate speech as a vehicle of thought, which he feels and divines, a mode of perception that renders him eminently accessible to and impressionable by the influences of the moral atmosphere in which he finds himself. For the same reason, a numerous concourse of spectators, and especially of those who are attracted by a more or less malevolent curiosity, is essentially unfavorable to the manifestation of his peculiar faculties, which close up, so to say, at the contact of hostile influences, and only unfold freely in intimacy and under the influence of sympathetic surroundings. The presence of those who are malevolent or antipathetic, I don't know that word either. I mean, I know the two words, anti and, prefix, and then pathetic. Very familiar with the word pathetic. Okay, I'm sorry. The presence of those who are malevolent or antipathetic produces upon him the effect of the contact of the hand upon a sensitive plant. The somnambulist sees at the same time his own spirit and his body. They are, so to say, two beings which represent to him his double existence, the spiritual and corporeal, and which nevertheless are blended into one by the ties which united them together. The somnambulist does not always comprehend this duality, which often leads him to speak of himself as though he were speaking of another person. Really though? In such cases, the corporeal being sometimes speaking to the spiritual being, and the spiritual being sometimes speaking to the corporeal being. All right? The spirit acquires an increase of knowledge and experience in each of his corporeal existences. He loses sight of part of these gains during his reincarnation in matter, which is too gross to allow of his remembering them in their entirety, but he remembers them as a spirit. It is thus that some somnambulists give evidence of possessing knowledge beyond their present degree of instruction, and even of their apparent intellectual capacity. The intellectual and scientific inferiority of a somnambulism in his waking state, therefore, proves nothing against his possession of the knowledge he may display in his lucid state. According to the circumstances of the moment and the aim proposed, he may draw this knowledge from the stores of his own experience and from his clairvoyant perception of things actually occurring, or from the counsels which he receives from the other spirits. but in proportion as his own spirit is more or less advanced, he will make his statements more or less correctly. Oh, that's really interesting. In the phenomena of somnambulism, whether natural or mesmeric, Providence, that means God, not the city in Rhode Island, Providence furnishes us with undeniable proof of the existence and independence of the soul by causing us to witness the sublime spectacle of its emancipation from the fetters of the body, and thus enabling us to read our future destiny as in an open book. When a somnambulist describes what is taking place at a distance, it is equally evident that he sees what he describes and that he does not see it with his bodily eyes. He sees himself at that distant point, and he feels himself to be transported thither. Who says that? Thither. Hither and thither. Something of himself, therefore, is really present at that distant point, and that something, not being his body, can only be his soul or his spirit. While man, in search of the causes of his moral being, loses himself in abstract and unintelligible metaphysical subtleties, God places daily before his eyes and within reach of his hand the simplest, most certain means for the study of experimental psychology. Trance is the state in which the soul's independence of the body is made most clearly visible and, so to say, palpable to the senses of the observer. In dreaming and somnambulism, the soul wanders among the terrestrial worlds. In trance, it penetrates into a sphere of existence of another order, into that of the etherealized spirits with whom it enters into communication, without, however, being able to overstep certain limits which it could not pass without entirely breaking the links that attach it to the body. Surrounded by novel splendors, enraptured by harmonies unknown to earth, penetrated by bliss that defies description, the soul enjoys a foretaste of celestial beatitude, and may be said to have placed one foot on the threshold of eternity. In the state of trance, the annihilation of corporeal ties is almost complete. The body no longer possesses anything more than organic life. And we feel that the soul is only held thereto by a single thread, which any further effort on its part would break forever. Wow. In this state, all earthly thoughts disappear and give place to the purified perception that is the very essence of our immaterial being. Entirely absorbed in this sublime contemplation, the ecstatic regards the earthly life as being merely a momentary halt upon our eternal way. The successes and misfortunes of this lower world, its gross joys and sorrows, appear to him only as futile incidences of a journey of which he is delighted to foresee the end. It is with ecstatics as with somnambulists. Their lucidity may be more or less perfect, and their spirit, according as it is more or less elevated, is also more or less apt to apprehend the truth of things. In their abnormal state, there is something more of a nervous excitement than of true lucidity, or to speak more correctly, their nervous excitement impairs their lucidity, and for this reason, their revelations are often a mixture of truth and errors, of sublime ideas and absurd or even ridiculous fancies. Inferior spirits often take advantage of this nervous excitement, which is always the source of weakness to those who are unable to control it, in order to subjugate the ecstatic. And to this end, they assume to his eyes the appearances which confirm him in the ideas and prejudices of his waking state. This subjugation of clairvoyance by the presentation of false appearances is the rock ahead of this order of revealment. But all of them are not equally subject to this dangerous misleading, and it is for us to weigh their statements coolly and carefully, and to judge their revelations by the light of science and of reason. The emancipation of the soul occurs sometimes in the waking state and gives to those who are endowed with a faculty designated by the name of second sight the power of seeing, hearing, and feeling beyond the limits of the bodily senses. They perceive things at a distance at all points to which their soul extends its action. They see them, so to say, athwart their ordinary sight, as though in a sort of mirage. At the moment when the phenomenon of second sight occurs, the physical state of the seer is visibly modified. His glance becomes vague. He looks before him without seeing. His physiognomy reflects an abnormal state of the nervous system. It is evident that his organs of sight have nothing to do with his present perceptions, for his vision continues even when his eyes are shut. The faculty of second sight appears to those who are endowed with it to be as natural as ordinary sight. It seems to them to be an attribute of their being, and they are not aware of its exceptional character. They generally forget this fugitive lucidity, the remembrance of which, becoming more and more vague, disappears at length from their memory like a dream. The power of second sight varies from a confused sensation to a clear and distinct perception of things present or distant. In its rudimentary state, it gives to some persons tact, perspicacity, a sort of sureness in their decisions and actions that may be styled the rectitude of the moral glance. At a higher degree of development, it awakens presentiments. Still further developed, it shows to the seer events that have already happened or that are about to happen. Natural and artificial somnambulism, trance, and second sight are only varieties or modifications of the action of one and the same cause. Like dreams, they are a branch of natural phenomena and have therefore existed in every age. History shows us that they have been known and even abused from the remotest antiquity, and they furnish the explanation of innumerable facts which superstitious prejudices have led men to regard as supernatural. Whoa, okay. There's like a big, huge blank page in between. All right. We're going to get through the next bit as much as possible. We're now on chapter 9, and we are just slightly over halfway through this book now. The other book we're reading, we're almost towards the end, by the way. So, okay, chapter 9 is intervention of spirits in the corporeal world. And the names of the little sections are: number 1, perception of our thoughts by spirit; number 2, influence of spirits upon our thoughts and actions; number 3, possession; 4, convulsionaries. Is that like a bird with a medical condition? A convulsionary? Like a canary? All right. 5, affection of spirits for certain persons. 6, guardian angels, protecting, familiar, and sympathetic spirits. Number 7, influence of spirits on the events of human life. Number 8, action of spirits in the production of the phenomenon of nature. Number 9, spirits and war. Number 10, pacts with spirits. Number 11, occult power, talismans, sorcerers. Number 12, benedictions and curses. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to start with penetration of our thoughts by spirits. Question 456. Do spirits see everything that we do? Answer. They can do so if they choose, since they are incessantly around you. But practically, each spirit sees only those things to which he directs his attention, for he pays no heed to those which do not interest him. Oh, gee, like everyone else, right? That's interesting. Question 457. Can spirits see our most secret thoughts? Spirits say, they often see what you would fain hide from yourselves. Neither acts nor thoughts can be hidden from them. Oh, whoa. And follow up. It would appear then to be more easy to hide a thing from a person while living than to hide it from the same person after his death. And the answer is certainly. And when you fancy yourselves to be hidden from every eye, you have often a crowd of spirits around you watching you. Oh, that's creepy, right? Oh, no more masturbation, guys. Oh my God. Oh, that's like so creepy. All right, I had to have a sip of tea after reading that. Okay. And I'm sure you all saw me. As she looks around her empty room and speaks. No. Okay, question 458. What is thought of us by the spirits who are about us and observing us? Answer. That depends on the quality of the spirits themselves. Frivolous spirits enjoy the little annoyances they cause you and laugh at your fits of impatience. Graver spirits pity your imperfections and endeavor to aid you to cure yourselves of them. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, occult influence of spirits on our thoughts and actions. Question 459. Do spirits influence our thoughts and our actions? The answer is, their influence upon them is greater than you suppose, for it's very often they who direct both. Question 460. Have we some thoughts that originate with ourselves and others that are suggested to us? Answer. Your soul is a spirit who thinks. You must have observed that many thoughts, and frequently very opposite ones, come into your mind reference to the same subject and at the same time. In such cases, some of them are your own and some are ours. This is the cause of your uncertainties, because you have thus in your own mind two ideas that are opposed to each other. Oh, interesting. All right. Question 461. How can we distinguish between the thoughts which are our own and those which are suggested to us? Okay, the spirits say, when a thought is suggested, it's like a voice speaking to you. Your own thoughts are generally those which first occur to you. In point of fact, this distinction is not of much practical importance for you, and it's often better for you not to be able to make it. Man's action is thus left in greater freedom. If he decides for the right road, he does so more spontaneously. If he takes the wrong one, he is more distinctly responsible for his mistake. Question 462. Do men of intelligence and genius always draw their ideas from their own minds? Allays. It's a typo. I'm like, what does allay mean? I mean, I know what allay is, but I mean, okay. All right, reading the question again. Do men of intelligence and genius always draw their ideas from their own minds? And the spirits answer, their ideas sometimes comes from their own spirit, but they are often suggested to them by other spirits who judge them to be capable of understanding them and worthy of transmitting them. When they do not find the required ideas in themselves, they make an unconscious appeal for inspiration, a sort of evocation that they make without being aware of what they are doing. And Allan Kardec's note at the end of that one says, if it were useful for us to be able to distinguish clearly between our own thoughts and those which are suggested to us, God would have given us the means of doing so, as he has given us that of distinguishing between day and night. When a matter has been left by Providence in a state of vagueness, it has been left so because it's better for us. Yeah, sometimes, God will say stuff directly to me, and I don't say things to myself like, you need to do this. But if I hear God say, you might want to do that, then I'm like, okay, thank you, God, because I know where it comes from. But I have other spirits that I talk to, like my spiritual teams, for like a lot of them are spiritual masters, and they will just, give me words or phrases. It's different. But I feel like the energy is coming from a different part. Like God talks to me in my right ear, and like my spiritual team will come from like in front of me but above my head, kind of is where I feel the energy coming at me. I never feel it coming in my left ear or behind me, ever. It's always in front of me or above me. Even when I talk to the ETs, they're never like, they're always to the right of me or in front of me. And that's how I think you could tell the good spirits, by the way. I've had people come kind of to the left of me-ish, kind of like in the middle to the left. Like one guy, he came up to me and he was, boo! I'm like, dude, I know you're dead, and if you want me to help you, I'll help you, but like, this is ridiculous. You're not scaring me, I see you. And they started laughing. He's like, I was wondering if that would work, and he's like laughing, and my husband heard him. We were just like laughing. This guy, like, come on. He wasn't really a malevolent spirit. He was just like a run-of-the-mill person, but he couldn't find his way to heaven, so he decided to come and haunt us just because he was bored. Anyway. All right, so question 463. Is it sometimes said that our first thought is always the best? Is it true? The spirits answer, it may be good or bad according to the nature of the incarnated spirit. It is always well to listen to good inspirations. Question 464. How can we ascertain whether suggested thought comes from a good spirit or from an evil one? The answer is study its quality. Good spirits only give good counsels. It is for you to distinguish between the good and the bad. Question 465. To what end do imperfect spirits incite us to evil? And the answer is to make you suffer as they do themselves. Right, misery loves company. And follow-up question, well, does that lessen their own sufferings? And the spirits say, no, but they do so from jealousy of those who are happier than themselves. Follow-up question, what kind of sufferings do they wish to make us undergo? And the answer is those which result from being of an inferior order and far removed from God. All right. Question 466. Why does God permit spirits to incite us to evil? The answer is, imperfect spirits are used by Providence as instruments for trying men's faith and constancy in well-doing. You, being a spirit, must advance in the knowledge of the infinite. It is for this end that you are made to pass through the trials of evil in order to gain or attain to goodness. Our mission is to lead you to the right road. When you are acted upon by evil influences, it is because you attract evil spirits to you by your evil desires. For evil spirits always come to aid you in doing evil you desire to do. They can only help you do wrong when you give way to evil desires. If you're inclined to commit murder, you will have about you a swarm of spirits who will keep this inclination alive in you. But you will also have others about you who will try to influence you for good, which restores the balance and leaves you of your own decision. That's both creepy and also good to know. Allan Kardec adds the thought, it is thus that God leaves to our conscience, the choice of the road we decide to follow, and the liberty of yielding to one or the other of the opposing influences that act upon us. Question 467. Can we free ourselves from the influence of the spirits who incite us to evil? Answer: yes, for they only attach themselves to those who attract them by their evil nature of their thoughts and desires. Question 468. Do spirits whose influence is repelled by our will renounce their temptations? And they say, what else can they do? When they see that they cannot accomplish their aim, they give up the attempt. But they continue to watch for a favorable moment, as a cat watches for the mouse. That's a fair analogy. Question 469. By what means can we neutralize the influence of evil spirits? The spirits say, by doing only what is right and putting all your trust in God, you repel the influence of inferior spirits and prevent them from obtaining power over you. Take care not to listen to the suggestions of spirits who inspire you with evil thoughts, stir up discord among you, and excite you in evil passions. Distrust especially those who flatter your pride, for in doing so they attack you on your weakest side. This is why Jesus makes you say in the Lord's Prayer, let us not succumb to temptation, but deliver us from evil. So amen to that. Question 470. Have the spirits who seek to lead us into evil and who thus put our firmness in rectitude? Are you kidding me, dude? That's what you're saying? Oh my God, firmness and rectitude. Did you all just think of what I just thought of? I mean, I have a very sexual mind anyway. Question 470. Let's get back to this. Okay. Have the spirits who seek to lead us into evil, and thus who put our firmness and rectitude to the proof, receive a mission to do this? And if so, are they responsible for the accomplishment of such a mission? And the spirits say, no spirit ever receives a mission to do evil. When he does it of his own will, and therefore undergoes the consequences of his wrongdoing. God may let him take his evil away in order to try you. Take his evil away in order to try you, but he doesn't command him to do so, and it is for you to repel him, obviously. Yeah, repel. It's like Gail the Snail, quick, salt her. I don't know if you guys ever saw that on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's so insane. All right. Question 471. When we feel a sensation of vague anxiety, of undefinable uneasiness, or of interior satisfaction without any assignable cause, do these sensations proceed simply from our physical state? And the spirits say, they are almost always an effect of the communications which you unconsciously receive from the spirits about you, or which you have received from them during your sleep. Aww. So if you wake up happy, you have good spirits around you. Question 472. When spirits wish to excite us to evil, do they merely take advantage of the circumstances in which we find ourselves, or can they themselves bring about the circumstances which may then favor their designs? Oh, it's like a really wicked question. All right, the answer from the spirits. They take advantage of the occurrence of any favorable circumstances, but they also often bring them about by urging you on, without your being aware of it, towards the object of your unwise desire. Thus, for instance, a man picks up a roll of banknotes by the wayside. You must not imagine that spirits have brought this money to this particular spot, but they may have suggested to the man the idea of going that way. And when he's found the money, they may suggest to him the idea of taking possession of it, while others suggest to him the idea of restoring it to its rightful owner. It is thus in all other temptations. Right, exactly. All right, guys, I'm going to stop because I really need to sleep. And you all need to hear this when you're commuting to work. So sorry it took me so long to get it out there, but I know it's like 6:20 in Florida. A lot of you guys got your morning commute. So for those of you who are in that situation, good morning. And for those of you who are in Europe and you're getting ready for your evening commute, well, I'm glad you had a good day. And if you didn't, maybe this will help. Anyway, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. I love you. I love you all very, very much. I hope that you are having a good day or night, wherever and whenever you are in the world. When we come back a week from now to do this, the next part of this book, we will begin with the part called possession, not as in 9/10 of the law, but as in spirit possession, where they try to take over your body. But anyway, yeah, well, that's it. I want you guys to send me your miracle stories. If you have any holiday miracle stories, you know, regardless of whether you're religious or not, or no matter what religion you are, because on Christmas I'm going to go ahead and talk of, I'm going to tell your story. It can be anonymous if you have a story and you don't really want to, you know, say it out loud. But if you have any Christmas miracles or Santa Claus miracles, or you know of anyone, you know, you can tell your friends stories if you want. You know, I don't have to say names, of course. I want to just have a special Christmas one, and I have my own stories that I'll relate to you guys. You know, I was hoping for a lot more than 0. But I haven't gotten anyone's stories. Most people have written me and said, I don't really know anything. You know, in that way, I've never had a Christmas miracle, but I think that we have, and I think that miracles take place every day, and I kind of feel like maybe, you know, it's not always readily apparent to us, so rack your brains if you can, you know what I mean? You know, maybe pray for baby brother or baby sister one year, and you ask Santa Claus, hey, bring me a baby brother next year, and then the following year, baby brother is born, you know what I mean? Like, that might not seem like a miracle, but it kind of is, you know? I mean, it takes a lot to get somebody pregnant. It really does. I mean, you only have like a window of like 24 days a whole year. In a year, like literally like 24 days in which someone could get pregnant. It's kind of weird. You know, it's not like a constant thing. It's kind of a hit and miss. But anyway, you know, so any kind of miracle story, I want to hear the miracle stories. Anyway, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for being on this ascension journey with me. We're already in the 5th dimension, but I'm grateful that we did this together. If you're on the planet at the same time as me, we've all done this together. You know what I mean? It's like, I know I'm not like, wasn't in the very beginning front runner, knowing from the beginning I was going to do this. I mean, in the 80s when I heard about the ascension and the pole shift and all this stuff coming, I just was like, wow, that's going to be really trippy if that happens. But I kind of didn't really believe that it was going to. I thought maybe some of these people are trying to get attention, maybe to sell books, maybe they're delusional, maybe they're mental. There's like all this stuff that went through my mind. I didn't really believe it. And now that we're here, I'm like, holy crap, Ruth Montgomery was right. Oh my God. All these people were right. They all saw it. This is incredible. So I'm really happy about that. I mean, Grandma Marion couldn't see past 2012. When she tried to see into the future, we asked her what our future is going to be, and she said, I literally see nothing. It's like a blank, just black space, not even with stars in it, just a blank black slate. Like, that's it. And we didn't know what that meant, and then she died like a year after she told us that. So we were thinking, well, it's possible because she wasn't living anymore. But I don't know. I think that maybe we all died and moved to a different planet or a different timeline. So the timeline she was on at the time when she told us was just that timeline ended on December 21st, 2012. I feel like it ended, collapsed, and we all moved somewhere else because we're obviously still here. You pinch yourself, you know you're not dead because it hurts. And plus you never die, so there's that. But anyway, I don't know. But I'm glad. It's been a wild and crazy ride the last few years, being aware of the ascension for like 3 years and actively participating in it every single day for 3 years has been really crazy. It's like taken up so much of my time, and I'm glad we're anchored in the 5th. I'm glad we can have this little meetup every single day now with my show. And a lot of you are contacting me, and a lot of people are like meeting up with like-minded folks and starting relationships and are blissfully happy. Finally, people who've had a hard time finding love, and it's starting to come together. And those of you who've recently broken up with someone, you're expecting a closure like really soon. I do know someone who had a really sad breakup and was affecting him big time. And the person, it was like months. And he kept going, I wish this person would like friggin' apologize to me for having put me through this, and not having any connection to how emotionally they'd been hurting me for 5 months, right? Or 6 months. And the person actually apologized today and like had self-awareness out of nowhere. So people are becoming more awake. They're becoming more self-aware, even if they're not spiritually aware of what is happening in the world. They're not awake, but they're getting more aware. And when you wake up in the morning, when you're not totally awake, you have an awareness. That's like that twilight sleep. I don't mean like the vampire movie, the werewolf movie, but I mean like there's like a twilight period, a twilight sleep, and you have like the second sense about you, and you're like aware, but you're not quite awake. A lot of people are in that awareness. They're starting to wake up to awareness, but they're not awake yet. So keep praying for all the people on the planet, and keep praying for yourselves, and give everybody a little bit of leeway, because if you've been having a rough time and then someone hurts you, they're totally unconscious of it, but they are also having a rough time, right? So if someone hurts you, just give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't have to see them anymore. You don't have to invite them over for dinner. But, just wait. Don't judge anybody. Just kind of let it go. Let them go. Let the situation go. And if they're worth keeping in your life, wait for the explanation to come, because it's going to come. People are becoming aware of what they've done with their actions. And it's becoming more and more. I see it every day with all the people I've talked to. It's like, oh, wow, that's so weird, So everything's getting better. Everything is getting better. Everything's going to be fine. Just like in the Good Place. Everything is fine. You've made it. You're in the good place. If you haven't watched that show, it's hysterically funny and also very metaphysical. A lot of cool metaphors. Anyway, that's it, guys. I gotta go. Thank you for sharing this time with me and listening to the show and forwarding it to your Facebook groups and your Instagram groups and your like-minded folks in your life. Thank you so much for everything and for all you do. And well, that's all I gotta say about that for right now. All right, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibrations of the holy 5th dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.